You're about to learn something that most women never discover. Not from friends, not from love coaches, and definitely not from social media. There is a single moment, one simple action, that when done just once, flips a hidden emotional switch in a man's brain. And the craziest part, he won't even know why he's thinking about you nonstop. He won't understand why he suddenly feels empty without you. Why your name keeps echoing in the back of his mind when he's alone. This is not about manipulation. It's about power. Your power. The emotional kind that speaks directly to his subconscious. The kind that softly haunts him long after you've walked away. So many women chase connection by doing more. Texting first, over-explaining, showing up constantly. But the truth is, the most unforgettable moments are created by what you don't do. It's the silence, the shift in energy. The one thing you pull away at just the right moment that creates the loudest echo in his soul. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do it, step by step. So before we go further, I want you to ask yourself, are you ready to stop being the one who waits and start being the one he can't forget? Because once you do this, once he will feel it all night, maybe even cry, and he won't even know why. Let's begin. Most people think attraction is built through constant communication, shared interests, or physical chemistry. And while those things do matter, they're not what triggers deep emotional obsession. The kind that keeps him up at night thinking about you. The kind that makes him feel like something is missing, even if everything seemed fine. Here's the truth. The emotional trigger men can't resist is unresolved emotional tension. And more specifically, the kind that he didn't get the chance to fix. Men are wired to solve problems, but emotionally, they're often unequipped to do so. So when a woman shifts her energy, when she creates space after giving warmth, she disrupts his emotional equilibrium. He doesn't consciously know it, but he starts searching for a reason. Did I do something wrong? Did something change? Why does this feel so off? This unresolved emotional loop starts playing in his mind. He replays your last words, your last look, the last moment that felt different. And because he never got closure, he can't close the emotional tab on you. You stay open in his mind. Now here's where the power is. You don't need to create drama to do this. You don't need to accuse, argue, or overexpress. In fact, it's more effective when you don't. All you have to do is shift, slightly, emotionally. Pull your energy inward. Become a little less available, a little less predictable. You're not punishing him. You're letting him feel the space you used to fill. And that space, it becomes louder than any words you could ever say. The trigger works because men don't expect it. They're used to women chasing clarity, fixing, explaining. And when you don't, it confuses their emotional compass. It disrupts his emotional autopilot. And in that moment of confusion, he starts to feel something he can't name, loss, even if he still has you. This is where desire is born, in the tension between presence and absence. And once that trigger is pulled, he won't stop thinking about you. When a man cries for a woman, even quietly, even when he doesn't understand why, it's never just about her. It's about what she unlocked inside him. Most men are not taught to process emotion. From a young age, they're told to be strong, to keep things in, to move on quickly. So what happens when a woman comes into his life and makes him feel something real, something he can't categorize or control? She becomes a mirror, a reflection of the feelings he's buried. Now here's the part no one talks about when you create emotional depth with a man. When you connect with him in a way that bypasses logic, you activate a part of him that doesn't know how to protect itself. Not from softness, not from vulnerability, not from you. So when your energy suddenly shifts, when you pull back without words, without blame, without explanation, his body registers a loss before his mind can rationalize it. And that's what breaks him. Quietly, privately, sometimes even physically. He might not cry in front of anyone, but he'll feel it when he's alone, lying in bed, driving in silence. In the pause between texts, he'll feel the ache of something slipping that he didn't even realize he was holding on to. Because what you gave him wasn't just attention. It was emotional safety. And when that's gone, it's not just you he misses. It's the version of himself he only felt when you were around. That grief, it's not loud. It doesn't always come with tears down the face or dramatic confessions. Sometimes it's just the weight in his chest, the tightness in his throat, the sudden urge to reach for you, and then stopping, because he doesn't even know why he wants to. But he will cry, in his own way, Maybe not tonight, maybe not tomorrow. But when that emotional loop you opened has no closure, when that part of him you awakened has no home, that's when it hits. And that's when he realizes he lost something he can't name. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most women are working twice as hard for half the emotional impact. Not because they're doing too little, but because they're doing too much of the wrong thing. What most women get completely wrong is thinking that love, attention, and reassurance must constantly be proven to keep a man emotionally invested. They overgive, over-explain. They try to preempt distance by being more available, more supportive, more emotionally open, thinking that if they're always there, he'll never leave. But emotional attachment doesn't form from comfort. It forms from contrast. Think about this. When do most men realize they've messed up? When does the regret actually hit? It's never when you're texting him paragraphs or checking in on how he feels. It's after you stop, after your energy shifts, after the pattern breaks, because that's when he feels the emotional gap, the space where you used to be. And that space is what forces him to reflect. The truth is, being emotionally available is beautiful, in the right doses. But when you're always present, always explaining, always trying to fix or understand what's going wrong, you're robbing him of the one thing that builds emotional gravity: longing. Men don't bond through constant closeness. They bond through the tension between closeness and distance. That doesn't mean playing games. It means understanding that your energy has value. Your presence has impact. And if it's always accessible, it becomes forgettable. Another major mistake, thinking that clarity is always better than curiosity. Women often rush to define things. Where is this going? What are we? What do you feel for me? But when you give him all the answers, you leave him nothing to wonder about. Curiosity is magnetic. When a man has questions, he stays mentally engaged. An emotional connection requires mental engagement. So if you've been bending over backwards, doing more, loving harder, explaining deeper, and he's still drifting away, stop. Not because you're doing something wrong with your heart, but because you're doing too much with your effort. Effort doesn't equal impact. Your presence is powerful when it's intentional, not constant. And the more you chase connection by trying to do more, the more you reinforce the idea that he doesn't need to do anything to keep you. Let that land. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care with boundaries. You love with self-respect. You show up, but not in a way that erases your own value. Because the women who are remembered, the women men regret losing, are not the ones who gave everything. They're the ones who gave meaningfully, and then walked away when it stopped being mutual. Let's talk about what I call the disappearing energy technique, one of the most powerful feminine shifts you can make. And most men don't even realize what's happening until it's too late. This isn't ghosting. This isn't manipulation. It's not about punishing him or playing cold. It's about something deeper. It's about mastering the art of energetic presence and knowing exactly when to pull it away. Here's how it works. When you're emotionally present with someone, when you show care, softness, warmth, your energy fills a space in their world. They feel you. They may not verbalize it, but they're used to your check-ins, your attention, your support, your emotional openness. It becomes part of the emotional rhythm of their day. Now, when you pull that energy back, not in anger, not with attitude, but with stillness, he feels it in a way he can't explain. It's not about ignoring him. It's not about giving the silent treatment. It's more powerful than that. It's about withdrawing your focus, your emotional presence. You become quieter, lighter, less available, less reactive. Your need to be seen, to be reassured, to be validated disappears. And in that space, something shifts. Men notice when energy disappears, especially from someone they've emotionally depended on without even realizing it. And what's key is this: you're not telling him anything is wrong. You're not giving a dramatic speech. You're not posting cryptic stories or trying to make him jealous. You simply shift. You let your silence do what your words never could: create reflection. He starts asking questions, not just about you, but about himself. Why do I feel off? Why am I thinking about her? Why does it bother me that she's so quiet? That emotional tension starts to build, and tension, when handled correctly, creates attraction, depth, and desire. This is where most women break the spell. They get uncomfortable with the silence. They want to explain their feelings. They want to check if he noticed the shift. But the real magic happens when you don't chase clarity. You let the space speak for you. Because if he values you, he'll come closer. If he's emotionally available, he'll feel the difference, and he'll move toward you. If he doesn't, then you've just saved yourself from pouring energy into someone who was never going to match it. The disappearing energy technique isn't about withdrawal. It's about resetting the dynamic. It's about letting him feel what life is like without your emotional warmth, and giving him the choice to come back or feel the loss. And once he feels it, really feels it, he'll never forget it. Let's talk about words, not just what you say, but how you say them, and why some words stick in a man's mind long after the conversation is over. You see, most women try to communicate for clarity, to express their needs, resolve conflict, or get answers. That's normal. That's healthy. But if your goal is to leave a lasting emotional impact, the kind that lingers when you're not around, you have to understand the difference between speaking to his logic and speaking to his subconscious. Men don't replay long conversations. They replay moments, sentences that slipped past their defenses, a phrase you said with calm certainty, a truth that cut a little deeper than they expected. Those are the words that echo. So how do you plant those seeds? It starts with emotional neutrality. When you speak from stillness, not anger, not fear, not desperation, your words carry a different kind of power. For example, saying something like, "I don't chase what feels unclear to me." That one sentence can replay in his mind for weeks. It doesn't accuse, it doesn't beg, but it holds a mirror to his behavior. Or, "I don't repeat myself, I notice and I adjust." That line, that stings because it signals maturity, boundaries, and the quiet strength of a woman who doesn't waste energy explaining herself over and over again. Or even something as simple as, "I used to feel safe with you. I'm not sure I do anymore." That's not drama. That's a crack in the emotional foundation. And if he cares, he'll feel it like a knot in his chest. It won't just make him reflect. It'll haunt him. Here's the thing. Haunting doesn't come from yelling, pleading, or flooding him with emotion. It comes from leaving space and dropping emotionally precise words into that space like whispers he can't unhear. It's the restraint that makes them powerful. You don't need to threaten to leave. You don't need to beg to be seen. You just need to speak in a way that makes him sit with himself after you've walked away. That's the power of haunting words. They aren't loud, but they're heavy. They trigger introspection. They stay with him when he's laying in bed alone. They come back in moments of silence, when he wonders what you meant, why it hit him like that, and what it means about the way he treated you. You don't need 100 texts to be remembered. Sometimes it's one sentence, said once, said right, and it becomes the sentence he hears every time he thinks about you, and every time he wonders why he feels your absence more than he ever expected to. There's something most people don't realize until it's too late. Silence isn't emptiness, it's an energy, and when used intentionally, it's one of the most powerful emotional tools you'll ever have. We're taught that in relationships, communication is everything, that we should talk things through, express our feelings, explain ourselves, and while healthy communication is essential, sometimes silence communicates what words never could. When a woman goes quiet, truly quiet, a man feels it in his body. And not because she's playing games or withholding love, but because he knows instinctively that something has shifted. Here's the difference. Reactive silence comes from pain. Intentional silence comes from power. You're not being quiet to punish him. You're being quiet because you're no longer willing to waste energy where it isn't being matched. You're done over-explaining. You've said what you needed to say. And now your stillness says the rest. And here's what that silence does. It forces him to hear his own voice. No distractions, no noise, no responses to push against. Just space. And in that space, he starts to feel the impact of your absence, not just physically, but emotionally. Because when you're gone, the energy you used to give doesn't just vanish, it echoes. The good mornings, the check-ins, the way your presence filled up the room, or the call or the text thread, it all lingers. Until the absence becomes louder than your presence ever was. And that silence, it becomes deafening. Men are used to women reacting, to emotional responses, to trying harder, to keeping the dialogue going. But when you choose silence, real grounded silence, it forces a different response. He's not thinking about the fight anymore. He's not thinking about what you said. He's thinking about why you stopped saying anything at all. And it's in that moment he begins to feel something deeper. Consequence, not punishment, not drama, but the quiet realization that your energy is no longer being offered. That's when it clicks. Not because you yelled louder, not because you gave more, but because you stopped. So if you ever wonder whether to send one more message, explain one more time, or reach out just to make things clear, pause. Ask yourself, would my silence say more than anything I'm about to write? Because sometimes the loudest thing you'll ever say is nothing. And if he truly values you, he'll hear that silence like a scream, one that echoes in his mind, long after your words would have faded. Now, if you've made it this far, you already understand how powerful your presence is. You've seen how silence, energy shifts, and emotionally charged words can create longing, confusion, even tears. But here's the bonus tip, the final move that turns regret into obsession. It's not a message. It's not a call. It's not closure. It's something he never sees coming, your soft, visible glow without him. Let me explain. After a disconnect, after you pull your energy back, after your silence has started to echo, most men expect one of two things, anger or distance. What they don't expect is radiance. They don't expect to see you moving forward with calm, with grace, with lightness. That's what creates obsession, not because you're trying to make him jealous, but because you've become emotionally untouchable. Obsession doesn't begin when he sees you hurting. It begins when he sees you healing, beautifully. When you post that picture and your energy feels unbothered, when you laugh in a way that feels free, when you stop looking back, that's when it hits. He starts thinking, how is she okay? Does she not miss me? Was I the only one who felt something real? And in that moment, the narrative flips. You're no longer the one who was trying to hold on. You're the one who slipped out of his grasp without warning, and did it with peace. But here's what really makes it powerful. You're not pretending. You're not forcing a fake smile or faking happiness to prove a point. You've actually let go of needing anything from him. And that emotional release is what creates magnetism. Men obsess over what they can't access, what they can't figure out, what they can't fix. And when you no longer need closure, no longer need attention, and yet you're glowing more than ever, that's when regret sets in. Not the shallow kind, the deep, gnawing kind that says, I lost her, and I don't know how to get her back. That's not a game, that's emotional evolution. So if you're wondering how to make him not just miss you, but obsess over you, stop trying to prove anything. Glow in peace. Let him feel the space you left behind. Let him watch you become the woman he didn't know how to handle. Because nothing haunts a man more than realizing the moment he let go was the moment you became the version of yourself he was never ready for. And by the time he finally gets it, it's too late. By now you've learned tools that are incredibly powerful. Tools that don't just affect his emotions, but alter the way he sees you forever. You've tapped into psychology, energy, mystery, and emotional depth. You've learned how silence, presence, and subtle shifts can spark obsession, regret, even tears. But now it's time for something even more important, how to use this power responsibly. Because let's be honest, with everything I've shared, you could easily get him back. You could make him chase. You could get him to regret losing you, to reach out in the middle of the night, to spiral quietly while trying to figure out why you feel so unforgettable. But the real question isn't, can you do that? It's should you. Emotional power isn't about control. It's about awareness, knowing how to protect your energy, how to create space for respect, and how to stop overgiving when someone has stopped showing up for you. It's about shifting from survival mode in love, that place where you're trying to hold it all together, to self-honoring mode. That's where the real magic happens. So here's my final advice. Don't use what you've learned here to manipulate or punish. Use it to clarify your own worth. Use it to stop chasing emotional breadcrumbs. Use it to remember that your presence is a gift. And it's okay to stop offering it when it's not being valued. Men can feel when a woman knows her value, not just when she says it, but when she embodies it. In her stillness, in her boundaries, in the way she stops explaining herself, in the way she leaves a space with grace, not anger. And you'll know you're doing it right when you no longer need his attention, even though you'll still have it. You no longer need his validation, even though he'll now wonder what you think. You're no longer waiting for the text, because you're too busy pouring into the version of yourself that he never got to fully meet. That's the ultimate power, not obsession, not control, freedom. You're free when you stop needing closure to feel complete. You're free when you stop reacting and start responding with silence, space, and sovereignty. And when he feels that, he won't just miss you, he'll respect you. So as we close this video, I want you to carry this truth with you. You are not hard to love. You've just been giving your love to people who weren't ready to receive it. And now, you are. Use what you've learned with wisdom, with softness, and with strength. Because the version of you that knows her power, she's unforgettable. Before you go, if you're serious about creating lasting change and deepening the kind of connection that moves him emotionally beyond words and surface-level interactions, there's so much more waiting for you. The journey you've started today is powerful, but real transformation happens when you commit to understanding yourself and the dynamic you bring to relationships on a deeper level. So what should you watch next? I've curated some of my most impactful videos that dive even further into the subtle energies, mindset shifts, and communication secrets that turn ordinary connections into magnetic, unforgettable bonds. These videos are designed to build on what you've learned here, helping you unlock emotional mastery and magnetic presence from the inside out. One video focuses on how to embody confidence without needing external validation, so you radiate authenticity and attract the right kind of attention effortlessly. Another breaks down the most misunderstood male psychology secrets that explain why men act the way they do, giving you the power to respond, not react. You'll also want to check out the step-by-step guides on setting boundaries without guilt and cultivating emotional resilience, so you never lose yourself in a relationship again. If you want to see lasting results, these next videos will teach you to create not just fleeting attraction, but emotional bonds that deepen over time, turning confusion into clarity, uncertainty into trust. So before you leave, make sure you hit subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss an update. Then check the playlist linked right here on the screen to keep your momentum going. Remember, change doesn't happen overnight, but every moment you invest in yourself builds your magnetic energy stronger. And when you commit to this process, you become the woman who not only makes him cry in longing, but keeps him coming back because he can't imagine life without you. Keep watching, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next video.